I am always excited when the next gentleman is on the show. It's been a little bit. It hasn't been on Sports Card Nation itself since November of 2020, but I think he does hold the record for most appearances on this particular podcast. It's just been almost yeah, it's been a couple years. So glad to have him back from the hobby life, Brody the Kid.
What's up, everyone? What's up, John? Nice to be
What's going
back.
on, Brody? Yeah, I'm glad to have you back. And I always joke with you, right? Where you're older, obviously, each time you're on the show, but you're more Brody the young adult rather than Brody the kid. I remember your first appearance on the show. It seems like 10 years ago, but it was 2019.
Yeah,
You were 11 years old on that first appearance. What are you 14 now?
just turned 15
15. Yeah.
February. Yeah.
Yeah, Brody the teenager, not Brody the kid anymore. You've grown up in the hobby, and it's cool because you've kind of documented your hobby journey from a younger age than most people do. Truth be told, as you're now in high school, you're athletic, you play sports. Is it more difficult to do content? Honestly, now you got more things sort of pulling you away.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Especially like with the daily rip and stuff like that. Stuff that I do daily is definitely harder because like practice daily. Like the only days we don't have practice, I think, is Sundays. So it's a little hard, especially right after school. And a lot of times I've noticed with at least like daily rips and stuff like that, Fridays when you get stuff out late it doesn't get as much views. I don't know if you've had the same thing with anything, but when I put stuff out late on Friday, not as many views if I did it on a random Tuesday or Monday. So
Yeah.
it's been a little harder, but baseball should be a little slower.
Yeah, and yeah, there's some sort of algorithm. You're right. I try to get this podcast. I can schedule it even when I'm like, so it releases while I'm snoring and stuff. So I generally try to get it out like in the AM hours. So for people who commute to work that I know listen to it, it's there waiting for them and that sort of thing. So talk about a little bit what you're in high school, obviously now. What's that? Been like? What are you playing sports and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I just finished our basketball season. We went 19-7, I think, for our freshman team. So we did pretty good. And there were a couple freshmen that were playing varsity. One was playing varsity and one was playing on sophomore. So our team was pretty good. Varsity got out pretty quick, but um, now we started up baseball. So I'm excited for that. got, got my White Sox sweatshirt on, but I don't know how the Sox are going to do this year, losing Abreu, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, we'll talk. We'll hold that thought. We'll get to some baseball talk for sure. With I know you're doing some power rankings. I want to talk about that and that sort of thing. So, have now you're older, right? You started content creation. You were 10, 11 years old. Um, obviously we're all learning, right, as we do all this stuff. But just talk about sort of the evolution, if you will, of your content and what you do and what you've learned. You even mentioned something about the timing of when you release something and how many views or downloads it might get. But what else as you get older, with content creation and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I mentioned the time stuff. It's a little bit harder, but you can just see the evolution of stuff that gets put out for everyone. I mean, there's so much more stuff that I do on YouTube now. I don't post a ton on YouTube, but definitely more than I used to because it gains a lot of traction and you could
Yeah.
tag people on YouTube videos. And I mean, to be honest, there's just so many content creators on YouTube that have like crazy high subscribers, and it's pretty awesome. I mean, we see the same thing with TikTok now, and obviously Instagram's been the same way for a while too. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit different because prices are a lot different. I mean, football
Yeah.
is a little bit different this year, but I feel like football is always it just always seems expensive to me, even though this year wasn't the best like class for rookies. It always seems expensive, um, at least compared to like basketball and baseball from Panini stuff. So it is harder doing the daily rip, trying to get like some hobby packs and not always doing retail, but it's hard. I mean, it's really hard.
So you're in high school right now. If it's like most high schools, you come from middle school, there's some different kids, right, that you didn't go to middle school with. So you see some new faces, some fresh faces, make some new friends. Obviously, doing content creation for as long as you have, since you were, almost in single. Did anyone like recognize you in high school? Like, hey man, I saw you on YouTube, or I saw you on social media this or Instagram, or have you had that sort of, maybe, obviously people who already know you do that, but have you had, now going to a high school, have you ran into anyone that you didn't necessarily know, but they sort of knew you through either social media or content?
It spread pretty quickly to our other middle schools, so we only have 2 middle schools, and the people that I do know, I told, and they were just the first couple of days of high school, there'd just be random people calling going up to me and saying, "BTK, what's up?" And I'm like, "Hey, what's up? Who are you? Who are you?"
Yeah, that's cool, and obviously, at shows and the national coming up, you're and that this is going to be your home national. We'll hold that thought. I want to save the national talk sort of for our last topic, but listen, right? You've had people on your show. I've had a lot of people on this show, and you kind of ask them to give their hobby background, and you get this line, right? Which technically doesn't apply to you. Yeah, I collected when I was younger. Then I went to high school, and girls caught my eye, and I kind of got out of the hobby. Then I went to college, and then I kind of came back into the hobby. So you're at, when you hear those classic stories, right?
Mhm.
Now you're sort of living that now as a high school kid. I'm going to put you, this would be the toughest question, or the hot seat question, if there is one tonight, right? Is, girls, and that sort of thing. Is that you see that being a storyline that might affect, I was going to say get you, but not like it's a bad thing, but affect you. You know what I mean? Am I going to have you on in 15 years if I'm still around? And you're going to say, yeah, if you remember when the high school and that sort of thing. What's your take on that?
Well, I don't think it'll affect me too much. I mean, it's definitely affecting how much I could post because I'm busy more, but
Yeah,
I think it just kind of it'll kind of loop it, and once I'm in summer and I'm in summer break, it'll be able to post a lot more because I won't be at school for baseball in the afternoons or basketball or whatever it is during the day, obviously. But it'll be a lot easier to film stuff and get stuff out because I can do it in the morning. So it'll be a lot
yeah,
easier. But
yeah.
who knows though? I kind of want to make sure that nothing happens though, because that's how my dad got out of the hobby was at the beginning of high school. And I'm like, I'm gonna stick it out. I mean, this is you telling me that you got out of it when you were around this age, so I'm gonna stick it through.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope you do. We don't want you to go anywhere, Brody. I think I speak for many uh, when I say that. You just have to balance all that stuff: sports, dating, girl, all that good stuff. You just gotta make time for it the best you can, right? Without giving anything up. You don't have to. So, glad you got a level head on your shoulder. I'm sure you'll be fine, right? And 2023 tops, right? We see Fanatics starting really to put their fingerprint on stuff. They just had their conference, and we got some news out of that. Just your thoughts now that we see what you think of the 2023 design, and what you think, anything you want to comment from the conference, or where the direction they appear to be going now.
Well, I kind of am sad that Gold Label is going to be gone. From a cheaper collector standpoint,
Yeah,
I kind of enjoyed Gold Label, even though it wasn't necessarily always like a crazy like return on investment product. The boxes weren't that expensive, and to get a gold frame auto was cool. So I kind of
yeah,
like that. But all the other, what was it, 12 that they did, I think, that they got rid
Yeah,
of?
they were close to double digits. There's probably going to be a few more that weren't on that list that they're just going
Yeah.
to just not do. I think, in my opinion, I think it kind of had needed to be done. There's going to be products, right, that people are going to miss. Like for you, Gold Label. I kind of like the clearly authentic product. The only
Mhm.
problem
Yeah.
with that is you get the one card, and if it's not a great player, kind of stings a little bit. And I know a lot of people would post on social media, look at this kind of crappy guy I got, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that sort of hurt because you only got one shot at it when you buy a box, and I think that sort of hurt that product. I love acetate cards. That's actually one of my like favorite things
And you
about
can't damage
cards.
them when they're already in the one touch. You can't scratch
Yeah.
accident, so they should be good, you know?
Yeah, well, maybe they can do something a little bit more with that. Maybe my idea, maybe for Clearly Authentic, is the same deal. You get one encased autograph card, but also make it a regular set where there's some base cards. So, have there, in a sense, be two packs in a box. One that has the encased auto, and maybe another pack that has three acetate base cards
Mhm.
towards the set.
Yeah,
And
you
I
could
think,
do it like Topps Chrome Black. That's what
yeah,
they do. I
yeah.
think 2 base cards, a numbered parallel, and then an encased auto. You could do it just like that. Uh,
That way whoever opens the box are getting four cards, right? So maybe their auto's not great, but they get a numbered rookie card of a hot rookie for that year, right?
yeah,
Whatever. So it's not they have more than one shot. Like with one card in a box, it's like you got one shot. It's either going to be boom or bust, right? And maybe if they enhanced it a little bit, because I love acetate cards. Anyone that's listened to the show at any sort of length has heard me say that like numerous times. So I like that product. I understand the frustration with it. So I would have rather seen them, do it differently than altogether like sort of put the kibosh on it. And they still may do that. There's still going to be
mhm,
37 top slash fanatics baseball releases this year. That's still quite a bit. So
yeah,
you may just see it called something else, but you kind of know that's what it used to be, or that's what it's patterned in itself after. So you may get your gold label, just may not be called gold label. They may call it something else and change sort of the format of it. I got a feeling you're going to see that on a few things here, and at least they're addressing some stuff, Brody.
yeah,
They're going to be doing more social media. They're going to have a like an insert slash parallel where if you pull it, that player has to follow you on social media. That's kind of different.
yeah,
Um, they're going to do some experiences stuff. They mentioned game use stuff is going to be rather than a event worn or where a player just puts a jersey on for 10 seconds and then pulls it back off. It's going to be really sort of game use. I think people really want that, right? We all hear like, the horror stories with event worn or people got tired of that, didn't even care about those type of cards, anymore. So it sounds like they're trying to do some things that are more what the hobbyists want. I mean, is there something that sticks out to you?
Oh yeah, I think you're right about the game use stuff. I mean, because they've been doing all the memorabilia stuff for a long time, and that's why I loved opening some old football sets that kind of stick out that have some game use stuff. I think I got a game use Peyton Manning jersey from some old Panini product from like 2013 or something. So there's like some products that you can get that are old, and it wasn't even that expensive too, but they had some games use stuff just sneak it in there. um, but yeah, I think even Gold Label, they just put out Topps Gilded Chrome, which that set's crazy with all the numbered cards, and then you get the one pack with the gold frame Hall of Fame auto. So I mean, it's kind of a little bit of combination, not necessarily on the cheap side, but it's definitely a little bit of a combination of everything. Um, and then with 2023 tops, I love the design. I think it's pretty cool. I like it. Yeah, it's good design, but you can definitely tell that Fanatics is starting to want you to buy that jumbo box when I was looking at odds for everything because Hobby Box, it was like golds were like 1 in 35 packs, I think, for a hobby pack, which
Yeah.
is like 1 in 1.5 boxes. And then jumbo was like 1 in 4. So that's 2.5 per box. So you could just kind of tell. And then the prices, like hobby boxes were like, I think when I was at the shop, a hobby box was like $90 and a jumbo was like 220. So you can kind of tell the odds, and then getting that guaranteed auto is kind of where Fanatics, I think, really and eventually wants to go, um, in terms of at least a flagship.
Yeah, I love the design this year. The last probably 3 to 5 years, the design's kind of plain and boring. I like the second photo on the card, Brody. It brings before your time, but it brings me back to 1983 tops. The Bonds, the
Mhm.
Boggs and Gwynn rookie year. We had that inset photo, and we know what most players look like, right? Especially the big stars, but some of those mid tier stars or even lower tier stars, many people may not be familiar with what they look like, and now that gives you a chance to get to know these players. It's one thing an action shot with a helmet sort of coming down, low on a forehead, but to see kind of a still shot on the same card too, you can kind of put a face to a name. I kind of like that. I like the dual photos. The other thing they're doing different this year, which I think is a step in the right direction, right? We all you know this just as well as I do, right? In past years, it was hard to tell if you had a super short print
Yeah.
or an SP. You had the 3-digit code on the back that even you, with your young guys, it sometimes was tricky to tell. For a guy like me, I'd have to get like a microscope out from the science lab and put the card under there. I felt like I was working in the forensics unit at like a crime scene investigation to try to find out did I get like a short print or a super short print. Now they're making that easier. It's going to really say right on the back. There's going to be different coloring on the back as well, so you won't have to guess. And you hear horror stories where like I didn't even know that was a super short print. I just sold it like a base card. I couldn't tell. Now you'll sort of eliminate that. I think that's a good move. As collectors get older too, right? The ones like me that have stuck around this long, it gets harder and harder to see each year. So, and my glasses prescription keeps getting bumped up. So it'll make it easier for old guys like me,
Yeah.
Brody. You don't have to worry about that for a while, but it's nice that they're moving in that direction. So
Yeah,
when you do
eventually
go,
I won't be able to see either. It'll come eventually.
so I like some of the innovation, some of the new things they're bringing. Like I tell people on this show, they're not all going to be home runs, right? They're going to have some swing and misses too. They're going to do things we like. They're going to do things we don't like, and hopefully it's more likes than dislikes, right? And that's where it's all about. So, do you get to many shows? You're in the Chicago area. You got the big one. We're going to talk about that here shortly. But do you get to many like just I hate to call them regular shows, but local card shows or regular shows? And how often do you get to go?
Not. I haven't gone to any recently. I do go sometimes. I mean, it depends on my schedule, obviously, sports, but I mean, not as much on the weekends. But I don't know. I was thinking about going to a show on my birthday because I had some budget money to spend, but
Yeah,
then I ended up just going to a card show so I can buy a bunch of boxes and kind of just have fun with those. I think I posted one on my YouTube because, yeah, it was just I don't know. I wasn't sure, and it looked like it was kind of crowded. It seems like a lot of these shows are crowded. Uh,
yeah,
it might just be me, but I just saw a TikTok video before we came on here. I don't remember who it was that posted it. Maybe it was Collects app. Posted a video from TikTok showing a library, which I thought was kind of comedic, pretty funny.
yeah. I mean, they're doing them all over now. They're doing them in like minor league stadiums. They're doing it
Mhm. Yeah,
along the concourse. I've even contacted the Syracuse Mets to try to sort of spearhead that with no luck as of yet. But E for effort there. But we're seeing them in different locales and in different cities that maybe have not had them before, and that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. Um, let's talk about what you're doing with your content. You're doing a sort of a power rankings countdown of Major League Baseball for this year, according to Brody, starting from worst to first, and just kind of how you came up with that concept, and what you're doing with that.
Yeah, so I think I started it. I think I did it 2 years ago,
Okay.
or maybe it was the year before the pandemic. I don't
Yeah.
remember. But and then last year I didn't do it. I honestly don't remember why. But then this
Yeah.
year we finally decided, all right, we're gonna do it this year. Let's do it. So I like it. I mean, it's fun
Yeah.
to kind of go through the 40-man roster and see
Yeah.
the guy. It started with the Nationals and Josiah Gray. I think
Yeah.
I think I've only been posting them on my Instagram because I think it's their
Yeah.
long write up, so I don't think it fits on Twitter because
Yeah.
Twitter's got like a 200 character limit or something, so I don't think they
Yeah.
put it on Twitter. But yeah, so just keep checking them out. I'm not gonna be biased towards my White Sox at all, definitely not. So, and I'm definitely not gonna be biased towards the Cubs and putting them lower than what they should be.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Definitely not. So make sure you check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a great thing you're doing, and then people can debate like, hey man, hey Brody, I think you're too harsh on this team, or I think you overrated this team. They're not going to be that good, right? That's the stuff we love as sports fans too, right? We
yeah.
love this sort of debate,
Well,
and
and
at
it's
the end,
connecting cards with it too, because I put a card of each
yeah,
on the post too. So it's fun. It's fun looking for the
yeah,
cards too.
and it'll be fun after the year is complete to kind of see what you got right and maybe were off a little bit, right? It's always fun to go back and sort of check our work after the fact. You mentioned your White Sox. Like you mentioned, you lost Jose Abreu to the dreaded Astros. You still got some really good young pitchers and guys
Mm.
that are going to be better with another year experience. How do you see the White Sox in the AL Central? Taking off your fan hat and just analyzing where they're at.
Yeah, so I mean, they're not projected to do very good. I think they were projected 78 and 84, I think, was their initial one, which I feel like is fair, but I think that they have a chance to at least compete for a division like last year. I
Yeah,
think it'll be a very similar like 500 like year and maybe compete for the division because I mean they did last year. They made a run towards the end and then just kind of fell apart. But I'm the AL Central not the strongest division. Royals already on my
yeah,
list, and the Tigers. I don't remember if I put them on the list yet, but if I didn't, they're coming pretty soon too. So and then the Twins and the Guardians are both like okay. They're kind of there's three teams that are just like the Sox. The Guardians, Twins, and the Sox are very similar. Um,
yeah,
Never too many wins. Okay, they're all kind of around 500, and you never really know who's going to win the division. So I think Cease last year had a great year, but I think his one problem is still it's still his fastball control because I
yeah,
watched him pitch one game and he had a no, or no, he had a shutout going. I think until the seventh, and then gave up a homer, and then they took him out, and they ended up losing, but they lost 2-1. So he gave up the
yeah,
one homer, and then our offense just couldn't do anything. So uh, but we also had a lot of injuries too.
yeah,
So hopefully everybody can stay healthy because so we can have Anderson and Robert playing together and Eloy and
yeah,
Grandal. Hopefully can have a bounce back year because he was terrible last year. I'm going to be honest. He did not have a
yeah.
good year last year.
Yeah,
So
I think they may surprise some people. Brody, I'm going to stick up for your team here. You mentioned Dylan Cease. He had a pretty good year
yeah,
overall. You
second.
got a bona fide number one in Giolito at the front of that rotation. You got some young players. Luis Robert, Moncada, and Tim Anderson's not necessarily young, but he's still in the prime
Yeah.
of his career. He's a guy that people don't even talk about enough
Yeah.
for how good
Mhm.
he is. So I think, and you mentioned the AL Central, no one is like light years ahead of anyone else, right?
No.
So if one of those other teams, I thought the injury bug really bit the White Sox last
Yeah.
year. If they can avoid that this year, and it bites one of those other AL Central teams, it could be the White Sox winning the division. So whatever the pundits say, right? You still got to go out there and play. Their lineup is even with the loss of Abreu, they're still pretty good. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't feel, I think you're going to be contending. I don't think it's going to be a terrible year or a year where you're out early. It's kind of a bad year. I don't think you're in for that kind of season.
Yeah, I'm
What?
just kinda on, like, the side of, like, not get too excited, but know it's possible. Um,
Yeah,
they don't have any crazy prospects, but Oscar Colas has been, playing in spring training. He's been playing really well, outfielder, and we need a new
yeah,
outfielder pretty good too, so Eloy does not have to play left field and run into the wall again because
yeah.
that was pretty ugly.
Yeah, and you think of the injuries last year, right? Eloy barely played very much. Luis Robert missed some time. Like you're getting those guys back at least to start. They're going to be healthy. So if anyone's sleeping on the White Sox, they might get woken up pretty quickly because I think this team can compete when healthy, right? Some
Mhm.
teams
Yeah, and I
even
love
even when
Andrew Benintendi. I loved that pick.
yeah.
They didn't do much in the offseason, but I liked that one. He's
Yeah, he's scrappy,
yeah,
scrappy ball player. Wants to
good
win.
hitter.
So, and then now he can grow his facial hair back now that he's not on the Yankees too. So, yeah, I think if you guys stay healthy, you guys are going to be formidable, right? And there's teams that you can't say that about, right? That even when they're healthy, you kind of know they're still probably going to be in trouble. So if the White Sox can stay healthy, they're going to win some games. Kind of talk about, you mentioned Josiah Gray. What are some other young players, not necessarily even on the White Sox, just in baseball? What are some other young players you sort of have your eye on to see what kind of seasons they have? They could be rookies, or they could be very young in their career that you want to see. Like your expectations are sort of high for.
Yeah, I think 2 guys I'd go to right away are both in the AL Central, and it'd be the 2 bottom teams right now. It'd be Bobby Witt Jr. and Spencer Torkelson.
Yeah,
Really even, like even next couple of years for both of them, I just kinda wanna see where we think if they really are going to uh, be what they have been hyped up to. I mean, they were really high picks when they were picked, so they should be good. And I know he's in like this should be his like fourth season, but I'm talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. still and
yeah,
Tatis still too. Both of those
yeah,
guys because Vlad had that great year in 2021, and then last year he had a decent year.
yeah,
He still had an above average year for sure, but not as good. And then Tatis, once he gets back, how will
yeah,
he do? And that Tatis is a huge, huge effect on the sports card market, I think.
yeah,
And I gotta give a shout out to a guy I've had on my Hobby Life show before. Brenton Doyle is a prospect for the Colorado Rockies, and they need a new outfielder. And he's been up at spring training, and he's been doing pretty well. So I hope to see him up there. I've got a million autos of him, so I'm excited to see how he does.
yeah. Some great picks there. A little homer pick at the end, but no, I get it. Right? You
Yeah,
know him, and
the Rockies need an
yeah, you got it.
outfielder. The Rockies
Yeah,
aren't gonna win much either. They're probably coming up
yeah.
on the list soon. So
Yeah, and you root for good guys, right? Good guy, and, and,
Mm.
and you root for him. So, all right, let's coming down the home stretch here, man. I saw you obviously at last year in Atlantic City at the Nationals there. Little trip for you. You weren't sure you were even going to make it. Thankfully, you did. It's back in your backyard again. Everyone loves when it's in Chicago. I know you love when it's in Chicago, right? Because number one, you're going. It's right in your backyard. I mean, what is your have you sort of formed? You know you're going, but do you know any of your itinerary? What are you looking forward to in this year's national and that sort of thing?
Well, no matter what my title is, I'm going to be doing a lot of videos again, like last year, just posting them on uh, all my socials and just saying, like, there's cool booth over here, there's cool booth over here. Obviously, some of the big ones I'll do just because I know people from there and they're also awesome booths to check out. But then I want to incorporate some of the smaller booths too that might be all the way on the left side of the show. And if you're not Dr. James Beckett, you might not see. So,
Yeah,
uh, so yeah, I like to do stuff like that, and I'm excited. It's gonna be a. I'm interested to see how many people come up on those days because we saw how crazy it was last year. I'm excited to see how crazy it is this year, and I hope it is crazy because crazier it is, the better it is.
I
Um,
I, I think it is going to be crazy. I mean, Chicago's probably the most popular venue, Brody. That when people are like, "Hey, what city do I love the national being in?" Chicago right now really heads that list, and it's sort of as you know, it's centrally located. So whether you're coming from the West Coast or the East Coast, it's sort of the same distance for those there. If you're coming from the South, it's sort of in the middle, not really, but sort of the same distance. And if you're in the Midwest, right, you're loving it. And if you're in Chicago, you're loving it
mhm,
even more so. It's sort of like the middle ground venue. People love the city. You got obviously a lot of sports potentially going on during the national that you can take in a game even after you leave the convention center. You can get to what might be a White Sox or Cubs game, that sort of thing, and other things. I know people want to. I know Ryan likes to try to if there's a concert in town at that time, he tries that he
mhm.
likes the band. He tries to hit that. Ryan Nolan, other people as well. So it's sort of something for everyone, right? You
Yeah,
obviously you're there for the national. It's because you're in the hobby and you like sports cards. But there's also right. You got the debate, right? I'm a New York City kid, so what's better, right? New York City pizza or Chicago pizza? Listen, you look at me, I like any pizza, so I won't argue with anybody, right? They're all good, and I rarely will push one away. So
yeah. I
I'm
feel like
looking,
everybody just if you everybody likes every pizza. I think
yeah,
that's what we need to conclude to. Except Hawaiian pizza, it's just weird.
yeah. I'm not a big fruit on pizza guy. I've eaten it, but not my first choice. But
No.
like I said, I haven't run into too many pizzas I haven't liked. So we've seen a lot of new companies kind of start. We've seen a lot of companies sort of merge and collaborate and partner together. I mean, what do you expect to see? Again, it's all speculation, right? I mean, what do you think this year's national going to be like? You expect uh, more people than Atlantic City last year, bigger boots. I mean, what do you think happens? Kind of putting on your predicted national hat. What do you think we see in your hometown for the national this year?
I think it'll be pretty similar to last year on terms of crowds. I think there's still a lot of boom around in this hobby,
Yep.
but the one like main question and like thing I'm gonna be looking for as soon as we get there is what is Whatnot's role in everything now again this year? Are they gonna have that
Yeah.
same role as they did last year and have their huge thing set up, or is it going to be like it was before? I don't know. I don't know picturing it in the Chicago venue seems a little bit different than Atlantic City where it's all kind of open, but Chicago
Yeah.
kind of cut a couple corners to make that breaker area and main stage. So I don't know. Be interesting. Hard to picture it in my head though.
Yeah, you never know, right? You never know what's Whatnot setup going to be. Is now with Fanatics being more involved,
Yeah,
are
that's
they going to have a bigger display? We saw the Zero Cool display last year in Atlantic City with the smoke and fog coming out of that with the Stranger Things stuff. What are they going to do this year? And so many things. Like it's just curiosity, right? What's it going to be? I
Mhm.
don't care how many nationals you go to. You're always like, what are they going to do this year, and what's going to be
Yeah.
different, and what's going to be new? Who might you run into, and that sort of thing. I hope we get to do as we traditionally do. Our hobby hotline main stage. That's always a good time, and
Yeah.
somehow the stage doesn't break with all of us sitting on it, and so look forward to hopefully that again, and then we do. As you know, we all get together one night at least and sort of have a hobby hotline dinner. So that'll be something we try to do, and I always enjoy that too. And last year was I think the first year you're taller than me, and that was kind of a humbling experience. I might have to stand on a box this year, like a paper, like copy paper box,
Yeah.
just to be the same height. I'm not even trying to be taller than you, just so we're even height. But again, man, it's great to see what you're doing. You know, uh, I feel like you're still growing up, but I feel like I've seen you grow up right before my eyes, and I remember the first time meeting you, and you were half my height, and now you sprung right
Yeah.
by me as I start to shrink now in my old age too. I'm going down with gravity, and you're springing up. So, but listen, I appreciate you coming on. Anything you want to plug? Before we wrap it up.
Well,
Anything you
thank
got
you so
coming on?
much for having me on again. I can't believe it's been this long. It doesn't
I
feel like
know.
it, but thank you so much for having me on again. And you can follow my Twitter at BrodyTK, Instagram at Brody the Kid 1. YouTube is Brody the Kid. I want to post on there more, so let's see. We'll
Yeah,
see if I can be able to do that. And then uh Hobby Life show on YouTube. Just had Tyrus, who used to be Brodus Clay in WWE and is now in NWA and is their NWA World's Heavyweight Champion a couple months ago. And we had Billy Celio from Upper Deck on last week. Well, it'll be a
yeah,
couple weeks after when this airs, but
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, make sure you
Well,
check.
that stuff you can people can still find it, right? Still evergreen content,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's great stuff. And you're a guy, man. I try to have you got to be on like once a year. It's like tradition. So when I saw it's been 2 years, I said, what the heck happened? We gotta fix that. So my bad on that one. So we won't make it 2 years before your next appearance. I'm sure we'll do something in Chicago
mm,
as well, which is really coming close now, Brody. We're about 5 months away now.
February
So
flew through. I couldn't believe how fast it went.
yeah, I'm gonna have to start my national countdown posting pretty soon here too. So, well, Brody, man, keep up the great work, sports content. I don't know where you get your energy from, but God bless you, and we'll see you real soon.
Thanks so much, John. Peace out.